What's going on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video, and it looked like UCLA will be going home. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way down to Florida. Let's get it. Let's go. Now, I ain't gonna hold you on this one, man. UCLA came out looking like a deer in headlights, bro. I mean, I just did not expect this. They got the beats put on them, bro. By the end of the first half, they was down by 20 points. It was a massacre. I mean, if you want to talk about a coach being out coach, this was definitely a master class. When it comes to Gino Ariema, pretty much showing UCLA coach, he was in the wrong league. Yes, he's in a league of his own, and he made it look that way. Now, UCLA coach did not hold back. She had a lot to say immediately after this game. With all that being said, roll the footage.
Yeah, this is just never easy. Hard balance. Credit to UConn. They were the aggressors. They played more purposefully. They played more connected. They were tougher than us tonight. And, they handed it to us. And that being said, we got to learn from this. We've obviously gone to new heights this year, but we got to let the pain of this hopefully teach us to go to new heights next year and learn from this and be better the next time. Really unusual to be in this position at the Final Four and have 0 seniors in your locker room and have an opportunity to come back stronger, more connected, learning from this experience and be better the next time. And at the same time, wanting to honor our team for all the firsts that they had, how they represented UCLA on and off the court, how they, took us on a ride that has never happened at UCLA in a long, long time. And just really proud of their effort, the way they grew, the new things they accomplished. And so trying to balance that, we weren't our best selves tonight. And that being said, it's a 3-loss season. And I'm really proud of not only what they've accomplished, but the way in which they've gone about their work. And, we'll be better next time we're here.
Thank you, Coach. At this time, we're going to open up our questions for our student athlete. We'll start on our right-hand side right here, and then we'll move up to you, Sabina.
Hi, Bella Munson with the next. For either of you, you had 14 turnovers in the first half compared to 5 in the second half. And that's when UConn really grew their lead. Just what would you attribute those early turnovers to? And was it sort of difficult to come back confidence-wise once they had forced so many turnovers?
Yeah, I think turnovers is really what killed us in the first half, just because didn't have, shot attempts at the basket. We always have talked about this year, we need the ball to score, and when we have the ball and we take care of the ball, we're a really good team. But I think it was difficult for us to get in rhythm, both offensively and defensively, when we're continuously turning the ball over. And, they're a great defensive team. But, we just had to be stronger and tougher in those moments and just smarter. We had a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers, I felt. And, we'll learn from it and we'll get better. But, yeah.
We'll take our next question, still staying to our right-hand side.
Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. It's really rare for a team to come to the Final Four and win a title on their first try. And I'm wondering, now that you've been on this stage and gone through all of the stuff that accompanies the Final Four, is there anything that has surprised you or that you needed to get used to this week?
No, I just think we need to show up more prepared and ready to win. And that has nothing to do with the coaches. That's everything to do with us. And I feel like, like Coach Cori said, we have the same team coming next year, and I hope this fuels us, and I hope that we come out angry after this. So
we're going to stay to the center. This is kind of our left-hand side. If you would please proceed.
Kurt Sandoval with ABC7. Ladies, when you look at the slow start, it felt like, for lack of a better word, you guys were trying to push it. Did it feel that way, or how would you describe once you started slow, trying to get back into this?
Yeah, I think it was just difficult for us to find a rhythm at times because of the turnovers and because we just kind of weren't in our typical flow. And I think, when you play against a really good team, which every team at this level is very good at this point in the year, you got to do the little things right. And, there's not a ton of margin for error, and we had too many errors today.
We're going to go to our right. Excuse me, that's our left. We're going to go to our left.
For Kiki, Iragorwa, Daily Bruin. For Kiki, I know it must be tough to hear right now, a lot of emotions after that, but as coach said, this was a season of first, a lot to celebrate after this season. You wrote, "We will go to a Final Four" in like a journal every day for a year. Can you just speak about that? How proud of you of this team to make it this far? What is there to celebrate, and what are you going to take away from this year?
Yeah, it obviously sucks right now, but, I think I'll do my best, and we'll all do our best to not forget what a fantastic year this was. So many firsts in program history, and to be in the Final Four and to be still playing at this time of the year is a blessing. And I think we all put in so much work to get to this point. Coaches, players, entire support staff, and we'll remember that. And our loss here will fuel us because we have a lot going forward for us. But I think at the end of the day, we lost 3 games this entire year, and it sucks right now. But I think looking back, we'll be very grateful for the year that we had.
We're going to shift to our right towards the back.
Kiki Nguyen with the LA Times for Kiki. You guys had a timeout late in the second quarter. It was about like 1:38 left, and coach called the timeout, but you kind of pulled all your teammates together before the coaches could come in. What was kind of your message there to your teammates? And for Lauren speaking, if you could speak to kind of Kiki's leadership and how it kind of sets you guys up for next season to kind of come back after this.
I can't remember exactly what I said at that timeout, but I think I was just trying to the entire game just preach to our team, like to settle down, calm down, and enjoy it, and and play free, because we have prepared well, and we are prepared for the moment. But to play basketball, we know how to do this. We know how to take care of the ball. We know how to make the right reads, and I think we still struggle to do that throughout the game. But I think it's hard when we haven't been in this moment. But I still think that we're obviously a much better team than what we showed today. We've showed that in 30 plus games throughout the entire year. But yeah, I'm just trying to calm us down, and I feel like that's kind of my role in terms of vocal leadership, just to bring calmness and try to say it straight and just be clear.
Yeah, Kiki's grown so much as a leader, and I think this past season she's just really taken on that role, and that's something that she's really wanted to work on. I'm just really proud of her because I felt like today we just really needed that calming presence. After they went on runs over and over and over again, I think that Kiki just continued to communicate what we needed to do and just easy fixes, and I think that's what we really needed. Not so much emotion, but just what do we need to do to move on and get this game going our way. So I just really appreciate how much she's grown, and I love playing with Kiki. I just feel like she helps me so much out there. So
Kareem, if you could raise your hand, we'll get the mic over to you.
Hey y'all, Kareem Copeland, Washington Post. One more for you, Kiki, on the uncharacteristic turnovers. Did you feel like they were doing something that kind of forced them, or do you think that was a little bit more self-inflicted?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was self-inflicted because we have played against a ton of different defenses this year. So they were getting around the post well, they were pressuring, but we've played against those kind of teams throughout the entire year, and we figured out ways to take care of the ball. But I said to us at certain points, I think it's both on the passer and the receiver. We needed to come to the ball. If you're receiving the pass, we needed to make strong, crisp passes if you were the one passing. And I felt like there wasn't always, connection between both the passer and the receiver all the time on the court, because they were just able to get in front, get hands on balls, and they were winning those 50-50s.
We'll go to our left.
Question is directed toward Lauren. Yes, I got it right this time. Scott Morgan Ross, South Florida Tribune. Coach, thank you for yesterday. Two-part question. Number one, I've noticed what a good scorer you are and a rebounder. How much more can you build those areas, and what other areas do you have to improve? And the second part of that question is this. The women got to the Final Four for the first time. When you look at the men's success over the years and John Wooden over the years, is this something that you guys can build on now that you've crossed Final Four territory? And now look at the men's program as a way to go ahead and build a foundation for what you guys have done? And do you ever look at the men's program a little bit as a way to continue to build a UCLA basketball tradition?
Um, with the first question, I think that me personally, I think I always talk about how there's so much room to improve, and obviously, going into this postseason, I'm sure Coach Shannon will, we'll look through the film and figure out how I could have done better today, and all these past games. But I think just continuing to, create easier shots for myself where I don't have to put the ball on the ground and bring double teams, I think is going to be really important for me. And then just continuing to work on my reads, kicking out, making sure I'm finding my teammates when I need to. And then to answer your second part, I have so much respect for this men's program at UCLA. I think they've really built a great foundation as far as basketball. But I think that we're trying to create our own legacy. And I think this team is one of the greatest teams to ever compete um, at this level. And I think that, we're trying to kind of just create our own path. And so to be honest, right now, I'm just worried about these girls that we have on this team and what we're going to do, because I know next year we're going to learn from this and we're going to come back even better. So
We're going to take our next two questions in the second row. So we'll stay there.
This is Okan with Bueckers Media. The last 2 years, Iowa helped take the Big Ten to a new height. The last time that Big Ten won was 1999. Obviously, this is your first year with the Big Ten between you and USC. Can you talk about the impact that you guys have had on the conference so far? And obviously, based on what Iowa have done the last 2 years, what you guys can do as a team going forward to capitalize on that?
Is that a question for both?
Yes, I apologize. Yes, it is.
We'll start with Kiki.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been great to be in the Big Ten Conference this year. I think it's prepared us in a lot of ways for the stage and for the NCAA tournament. I mean, I think the competition that we face on a weekly basis like is really good for us because we're just pushing every single game. And yeah, I mean, I think us and SC joining that conference, it's helped elevate the conference as well. I mean, we were the two teams that played in the Big Ten Conference Championship, and we'll be great next year. SC will be great, and there'll be a lot of really good teams in the Big Ten.
yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I mean, I just think, like Kiki said, I think the Big Ten did a really good job of just preparing us for games like this. And obviously, there's just so much room for us to improve. But yeah, like Kiki said, I just think it was a really good, growing process for all of us. So.
Lauren, you mentioned like being mad about the way this game went down. How do you take that and harness it to those improvements that you're trying to make, or is that something that you're still trying to figure out?
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Shannon about it. I think just, taking this sadness and anger and just making sure that, next year preparing for, this next season, just making sure that, we're holding the standard from the very beginning and not letting up, and just making sure that everyone's on the same page, because obviously we know what it takes. Obviously at this point we saw. And yeah, I just think that, us as leadership, we're obviously going to make sure that we just bring that competitiveness every single day, because that's what we need. So.
We're going to go back to our right-hand side, right in front of the column.
Obviously, this season just ended, but looking forward to next season and knowing you have the whole season to improve yourselves and try to get back to this position, are there specific things you think you would work on having the experience from this season that you think would help you get back to this position next year, if that makes sense?
And again, is this for both?
Yes.
We'll start with Lauren.
Ooh, go ahead, Kiki. I'll let you go first.
I mean, I think just continuing to build in our toughness. I think that's an area where we improved a lot this past off season, and we'll get better individually, skill wise, and collectively. From the sets we run and all that kind of stuff. But I think at this stage, like I said, it really comes down to just executing the small things and being, tougher, more together team, and having this experience will show us that we need to be ready when we come to play these games, and I think that will really help us all going forward.
Yeah, to add to that, I would just say, I think our urgency and our competitiveness, I think we kind of lacked that a little bit today. Just recognizing this is the Final Four and our season is on the line. So we really need to like recognize the moment that we're in and like play like it. And, we need everybody to show up that way. So
We're going to take our final question via Zoom. Joe Pachowski, you are now permitted to talk. Please proceed with your question. Joe, your line's unmuted. Please proceed.
Sorry, Zoom issues. Joe Pachowski, the Mighty Bruin. This question is for both players. It seemed like you were like the team was out of sorts from the very beginning, compared to what we've seen in previous games. Was there something in particular that you can point to that kind of explains what why that seemed to be the case tonight?
I think they were just tougher in the beginning. I mean, I think that's the only way I can put it. I think they just played with they just played more together, and we knew that UConn was going to run their sets really well. It's what they do, and I think that as a team, I just thought we talked about in the timeout, just like defensively, just coming out with like a lot more aggression and just making it harder on them. I feel like we just kind of let them do whatever they want out there. So from the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, what Lauren said. I think in a way we kind of were looking for things to just settle in and for things to come to us. And I think we needed to go out and take the game and to go make plays, not have plays happen to us.
Thank you, ladies.
Good job, ladies.
As we transition, a reminder that both Lauren and Kiki will be available over in the mix zone for the remainder of the 15 minutes of availability. We'll start with questions from Coach. I saw Nancy, Mel, then Doug. We can get the microphone over. Nancy, if you could raise your hand.
Cori, Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. You played South Carolina earlier this season. You know how good you guys have been all season. How good is this UConn team?
Really good, and they've been playing really well the last 6 weeks of the year. You can tell there's a level of connectivity and purpose that they're playing with. They are under they have so many players that are being stars in their roles, and obviously we talk about Paige and AZ and Sarah. But the reality of how their whole team is contributing in different ways it's a credit to them. And obviously, some of that has to do with matchups. We match up a little bit better with some of the things that South Carolina does, and allows us to keep our bigs and our length, which is our strength, home in the paint, and where UConn really spread us out and those kinds of things. So I don't think it's not apples to apples, between those two teams, but credit to the way they played as a team with great toughness and purpose tonight, and exposed where we didn't.
Mel, the microphone's right next to you.
First, actually, you could adjust. You lost 3 games, but you only lost to one program because you made it up on the other way.
Well,
But to be a scout Sunday between the two of them, because you had great success, which propelled you to the top and the one. What all do you see Sunday between the two teams?
Well, I think that it'll be, it's such contrasting styles, right? And, so I think that the reality of who can play to that better, most teams, you really want to be able to either be able to shoot the 3, which we did a better job, I thought, limiting that on how many threes they got off. They shot 16, which is, they made 7 of them, but that's less than, their normal 3-point attempt rate is higher than that. But they're going to spread, South Carolina out. And can they shoot 3s and then get layups through that? But the thing that makes UConn so dangerous is how good they are in the mid-range. They truly are efficient at all 3 levels, which very few teams are at the rate that they do it. But I think what you saw tonight is credit them for their defense. We talk about their efficiency on their offense, but I think their defense is they scramble. I mean, they were coming from double teams and running us off the line on inside out passes. Nobody has closed like that with us this year. And, I think that's one of the things we're going to learn from. I think it's just so dramatically two contrasting styles that whoever can get the game to be played the way they like it is probably going to win.
We're going to stay on our right-hand side. We'll go to Doug.
Hey, Cori, Doug Feinberg, the AP. Congrats on a really nice season.
Thank you.
If you could talk a little bit more about just how you guys are set up hopefully for next year to take that next step, because as you said, you have 0 seniors. Unfortunately, in this day and age, you never know with transfer portal who decides to go somewhere, but if everyone comes back, how much this experience could help you with that group for the future?
I tried to talk to people, about what it's like for the first time, trying to get wisdom from people that have come before me. But the reality is you got to go experience it, I think. And, I'll go back with my staff and, say, okay, what did we learn? What did this teach us? But I do think I've heard it from so many people that until you go through it, it is just a different level of got to be compartmentalization, all the things that are surrounding it, and then trying to be ready to play your very best basketball in a way that you haven't probably prepared like this all year long. I'll be a better leader next time I'm in this situation. It's my responsibility to win, to learn from this and to help us win as much as anyone. But I do think, experience is such a powerful teacher if you allow it to. And, I use this quote I got from Tony Bennett a long time ago. I use it with our team all the time. Adversity, if used correctly, can buy you a ticket to a place that maybe you wouldn't have gone otherwise. And I think in other areas, we've really done that. And this is our next area. We got exposed. We got out toughed. We got our butts beat today, and it stings right now. And may the pain of that regret and this loss buy us a ticket, if handled well, buy us a ticket to be better the next time. Hopefully we get this opportunity.
Coach, we're going to go to the center. We're going to come back up, and then we'll go back.
Hey, Coach, first and foremost, great run. Congratulations on that. As you walk out of here tonight, will you, without looking at the film, will you remember this game for what UConn did? You talked about how well they move without the ball, or will you look at, no, we didn't execute?
Both. I think both. I think there's to not live in that tension of both of those things would be either not holding ourselves accountable or not giving the credit to UConn appropriately. They played really well. They're a really good team. They earned that win, and we could have given them a better game. We could have executed our game plan better. We could have played with better toughness and togetherness. We say all the time, most of the time, the tougher, more together team wins, and that wasn't us. And we have to we got to learn from that. We got to acknowledge that, and every person, it may look different for different people, but even I'll look at myself first, but every person, what was our body language like? How did we respond to adversity? How many mistakes did we make in the game plan in the first 5 minutes? And why is that? Because we have not been that team, and we've been in a lot of big moments. I'm not, so trying to figure all that, but I think it's both. And I think, it's appropriate to give credit to how well UConn is playing. And it's also appropriate that I hold us to the standards that I know we're capable of.
We're going to shift to our left.
Eden Lassie, Hoops HQ. Obviously, this is definitely not what you wanted, and it really sucks. But hearing these two kind of take accountability and say, we're going to be better. What kind of confidence does that give you for next season?
Huge. It's interesting. When we have clearer heads, we'll be able to look back and think about all of the moments, the growth, the remember when. But we only have 3 rules in our program, and one of those is respect and represent. Respect the opportunities that we have and make sure that we represent our university, our team, our families with class and dignity, and that we have a growth mindset all the time. And I was sitting here sort of like a proud parent in this way that, when you have these incredibly capable, talented, driven, and disappointed women for them to lead in the way that they do. I feel very blessed to be their coach. And we say all the time in our program, and some people will say this sounds like it's less competitive, but actually it's the opposite. There's only two things that are going to stay with these women for the rest of their lives from these 4 years. And in the end, I'm gonna have a relentless quest to raise a banner in Poly Pavilion, and an absolutely driven mindset to figure out how to learn from this and be better next time. And not but and banners hang in gyms and rings collect dust. But who you become and who you impact, you get to keep forever. And I am very proud of who Lauren and Kiki have chosen to be in this case, and many others in that locker room, and who they've chosen to impact through their platform and through what they've done. And their families and our university are very proud of that, and that they get to keep forever.
Gorawara from the Daily Bruin. Coach, again, so much to celebrate this season. What has this season kind of meant for UCLA women's basketball, like this legacy in general? Speaking to Denise Curry earlier this week, she was saying that you and your coaching staff have built this, program where players like Janaya and Tamia, who could start on a lot of other programs in college basketball, choose to come to UCLA because of the culture you've built. And with the success you've had this season, just like what does it mean for the legacy you guys are creating?
Well, we built it together. And, it's a testimony by all those people that are in Denise. They went to back Final Fours in the AIAW era and won the national championship in 1978. And you could be jealous, or you could be like, oh, those guys, they don't know how good they have it, but they haven't been. I mean, there were half of that team that were there in the stands tonight. I was walking out of the hotel, and the amount of alumni that made the trip there that were, cheering us on and sent us a video today. And I think that we don't do that alone. And so, but I think our culture is built on doing something bigger together than you could do on your own. And Tamia and Janai are great examples of that. They have chosen to be a part of something that the whole is bigger than the individual parts. But in the end, everybody wins. Nobody's Final Four rings look any different, no matter what your role is. And I think actually credit to UConn. I think that they have a great spirit in that everybody's role is so important. I think Paige does a great job of honoring everybody's role in that. But the reality for us is that it is about teaching, mentoring, and equipping young women for life after the ball goes flat. But the great thing about it is that when you make those kind of choices and growth, it makes you a pretty dang good basketball team too.
We'll take our next question from the center.
Cori, again, congratulations, what you've done with this program. A couple questions. Number one, you and your staff are going to get together, and you have a building block here so good that you can potentially use NIL and the transfer portal to your advantage, because your basketball program is incredible. Football has a little bit of work to do, but I'm not knocking the football program. I just know basketball and UCLA go hand in hand.
Right.
So how much are you going to be able to use that to convince other people to come here? And then the second part of that question is, I know the college coaches, men and women's alike, usually get along real well. Do you think at some point you'll reach out to Gina Oriema and try to pick his brain a little bit and see how Cori Close can build as a coach? Because it seems like the respect that I've seen in the last couple of days with you two has been nothing short of a dynamite.
Well, I've been really fortunate that, both Don Staley and Gino Oriema that are in the finals have been really good to me, and have been willing to share ideas, willing to grow the game and take off their institutional hat for the sake of growing and investing in others and helping that our game grow together. So I think that I want to be known as a consummate learner, and that's my responsibility, is to get better every year. And they're obviously at the top of their game, and so I will continue to do so. But I have already, and I just want to learn from whoever I can all the time. And so that's my responsibility as a leader. And what was the first part of your question? Oh, NIL, yeah. Well, we've been really able to leverage that because not only do we have some great corporate sponsorship and team deals of true NIL that has been really helpful to us, but we're in the #1 media market in the United States. And so we've been really the beneficiary of that. There's a lot of challenges, and we're in a very transitional time with rev share coming and how that's all going to work and clearinghouse and so on and so forth. I won't bore you with the details, but we are really committed to lead in that space and to try to stay mission minded at the same time. And that's really the challenge, is that, comparison is the thief of all joy, and money can really hold people back from a growth mindset. So my job is to provide opportunity, because I love that women are finally walking in greater opportunity, both financially, as well as exposure and all the things that we're seeing in the growth of our game. But in the end, just making a lot of money and having a lot of comparisons, it's going to slow your growth and steal your joy. So my job is to try to leverage opportunity and maximize opportunities while still staying mission minded and pouring into their hearts first.
And with that, we are at time. Coach, we want to thank you for your time this
Yeah,
evening,
thank
as
you.
well as a tremendous season.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you all for reporting.
Shake the haters off.